Morning. We're working on Little Red. Um, been making quite a few hits with her on 22 pounds with the meth, spraying 1500 cc's of meth on it through separate nozzles. It does good. The plugs look good. She's making good power. In fact, she was spinning those 29 1450s at about 85, 90 miles an hour. But I've been playing with anti-lag and stuff. With a third gear stall, because this has got the fully manual 480, I can get up to 4,000 RPM foot braking, but it only makes about 5 pounds of boost. Looking at the data logs, these turbos don't actually come in hard until about 5,000 RPM. They are 61, 68 T4s, probably a little big for a 5.3 and this altitude at 7,000 feet. Anyway, I was making passes and I got my overflow cam put in. I got done with the pass and coolant shoots up about 6 foot over the top of the truck and gets all over the windshield. It was awesome. So I've lifted ahead, as you can probably see from the puddle right there. So we're gonna work on that. I think it's probably the head my buddy was helping me clean, and he took a stiff brush to it. I suspect it's not actually flat anymore. So anyway, we've got new head gaskets, new head studs, bolts, tortilla bolts. We'll try that. And if it pops again, I'll probably have to get the heads cut. And we'll come back. Alrighty, so got the charge pipe off, meth line for the charge pipe's pulled, antifreeze is drained, got our TPS sensor off, our fuel pressure sensor off, our vacuum line off, our reference for the fuel pressure regulator off. We've got all our coil packs unhooked. They're labeled. Same with the injectors, labeled since it's sequential. Got our exhaust off. We've got our oil feed line off. We've got our wastegate references off. We've got our intercooler piping off. Spark plug wires are out. And you can see how that with the 14 gauge wire I use and wrap around it to help it keep its shape so it stays off the manifolds. And then 3 sets of insulators I can keep from burning plug wires. I don't use bolts on my manifolds. I haven't done that since my big block Mopar days because broken bolts suck. I put studs and everything and it works really good. Plus you can hang your manifolds off of them or your headers if you've got them. What do we got left? We've got to pull the drain line for the turbo, which will be fun. I'm sure it's cooked onto the bottom of the bearing cartridge there. And that's where we're at right now. Dun, dun. Manifold and turbo are off. Freaking heavy too. That thing's like 40 pounds. Yeah, I've never claimed to be a welder, but it works, man. It works. That's really ugly on the camera. Alrighty, so I got to pull a couple of studs to get to the head bolts to get them off. Once you put these in with anti-seize and just finger tighten them when you put them in, they come out pretty easy. Just something to keep in mind. Oh, hey, something to keep in mind if you're running the high rim. It's probably in the directions, but you know who reads those. On the studs, the end that's got more threads on it goes up. If you put it in the other way, you end up with your intake studs into the push rods. Ask me how I know. Trick time. So I got a piece of coat hanger with a bunch of rare earth mags. We use in security, 3/8 inch earth mags. So if you try to get these washers off of here by hand, what's going to happen is if you do, they're going to fall off in the valley and you're going to use a bunch of unclean speech and get all angry. Ask me how I know. But you can walk them dudes right off. with earth mag. Well, a bunch of earth mags. Useless info. Do I this? Hopefully not. You need to. OSHA-approved footwear. And then expletive barefoot. Freaking right ass. Ow! Shots. Ow. All right, ready? The intake? That's not awful. All right. Oh, the return line for the fuel system. Good job, Dingus. Yeah, cool. That'll come loose once I remember to finish my work. Cool. Thanks, babe.
I got that in another tea.
Was it? Oh, we'll clean it. Alrighty, all loose. Look at this big chunk of aluminum off of here. You're like, why didn't you just use that track intake? Because they look like butt. They're not good looking, but man, I'm old. First thing you do is put you a sexy intake manifold in your hot rod. Whoa, now that's everywhere. That happened. I want to eat my paint, man. Stuff's expensive. Cool. Got that done. Now we'll pull the valve covers, the head bolts, and take the head off. Alrighty. I'm no expert in pretty much anything, but I'm gonna say that wet spot right there is where a head gasket leak is. So it looks like between cylinders 4 and 6. We'll see here in a minute. Another day in the garage. Always with the antifreeze, I swear. So, there's our culprit right there. Number 4 cylinder blew the bottom out of it. I am going to put the straight edge on the head and the block. Make sure we don't have a dip or a hump. And you can see it on the head too. Pretty obvious. That's where we're at. I was going to make a Yancey Automotive joke since the cylinders were full of water and they like to send people grade A engines with water in them. That's what we got on the block. And the head gasket is torched. That is done. So we will straight edge this thing. Make sure we didn't burn the channel in the head or the block. Come back. So using my handy dandy straight edge I picked up several years back, I could not get a 1.5 thousandths feeler gauge anywhere between the cylinder head and the straight edge. If I put the 1.5 thousandths feeler gauge underneath the straight edge and put the straight edge on it, it rocked heavily. But on the block, you need to get a shorter straight edge, maybe a foot. Had to go crossways because the straight edge won't fit front to back because of the firewall and the water pump. But still, I couldn't get the straight edge underneath, or the feeler gauge anywhere underneath the straight edge, anywhere on the deck. So, hopefully just a glitch. We will chase these thread bolt holes and put a gasket on it and go from there. Just found this in my toolbox. I forgot that I'd made it. It is a used head bolt. Looks like I took a dagger under too. So we're going to chase those head bolt holes with that. Alrighty, got the new head gasket on, the deck surface checked out, the head checked out, shot some copper schmooze on it. Now we'll throw the head on it. Alrighty, so last time I just used reused torque-to-yield head bolts. They've been used a couple times already, but I torqued those things too. 85 foot-pounds. This time we'll actually follow the directions. Don't forget to oil the threads a little bit, oil the head of the bolt so you don't have a bunch of extra friction screwing you up. Torque to 22 pounds, and then it is, I want to say 90 degrees and then 50 degrees if you have all the same length head bolts. They are about 4 inches. And the longer ones, which have a different torque spec, are 155 millimeters. This is about 6-inch head bolts. That seems kind of long, but that's what the website said. Torque these to, we've already done our 22 foot-pounds on all the bolts. Now we're going to do our 90 degrees. I've got this fancy schmancy angle adapter I've never actually used, even though I've had it for like 3 years. So we will try it. Certainly you could just eyeball the 90 degrees and get pretty close, but I've got it, so why not? There you go, dear love. Cool thing is you can rotate the collar, so you can start out whatever degrees you want. I'll put that on 0, alrighty. All right, give me a little bit of room, love, please. There's 90 right there. Alrighty. We'll do that with all of them and come back and do another 50 degrees. Did it move on us? That's kind of cheesy. Oh well, it is what it is. Alrighty, so I got the first pass at 90 degrees. I guess technically it'd be the second pass at 90 degrees on all the head bolts. Next, for this year model, it is 50 degrees. And I've got this one torqued to 50. What I'm going to do now, I think, is put a torque wrench on it and see where it breaks over. Give me a guesstimate on actual torque specs, because I hate the angle crap. How are you supposed to turn a ratchet like down there in that hole? 90 degrees. Not happening. Anyway, get that done and we'll come back. Alrighty, finally got these things torqued. So they're all over the place when you do the angle, then try to switch it to foot-pounds. Anywhere between 60 and 70 is what I ended up with. So I'm just torquing all these to 70 and being done with it. And the top ones, the small ones, the M8s, are 22 foot-pounds. And the M11s, the big ones, ended up at 70. Alrighty, rockers are on. These have the Comp Cam's trunnion upgrade. I'm running the Tick dual valve springs and Tick push rods, 7.400 inch and 80,000 swall. I'm going to torque these studs, rocker arm bolts to 22 foot-pounds. Alrighty, 8 hours in, she's back together. It wasn't awful. Got the power turned back on. Make sure we got 100% on our TPS. We are connected. Nope, I'm going to do some adjusting. Be right back. Alrighty. Yeah, it's worky. I'll go prime it again, see if she'll crank. Takes a minute to fill those 5/8 fuel lines. exhaust leak coming from right here. Better fix that. Awesome. She's alive. Alrighty, while I got her out, I noticed yesterday when I was testing on the concrete for the anti-lag and trying the rev limiter and stuff, I got about this much here. It doesn't actually contact the pavement, so I got too much air pressure in it. And it's nice doing it on the concrete because the tires get all dusty and you can see where it's making contact, and it leaves you a nice dirty strip right here so you can tell what you're doing. So I'm gonna take about 5 pounds of air out of it and then try it again and see what she does. Alrighty, dropped the tires down to 10 psi. While I had it apart, I drilled an 1/8 inch hole in the throttle blade, which seemed to help as an air bleed. It's not surging near as badly at idle. Anyway, now we will stall this thing up and see what the pattern is on the tires. I'll get the boss lady to help. Left me something I can measure.